We've heard a whole lot about businesses suffering during the recession, but a few are getting something out of the downturn. McDonald's and KFC are two fast food chains that recently reported seeing their sales rise. Fast food is a cheap option when you need to clamp down on your wallet. But my next two guests say the city is filled with alternatives to fast food for people looking for frugal dining. Mark McLaughlin is the author of the book Find Ottawa, and Robin Payton is a contributor to the book Cheap Eats Ottawa. Welcome to you both.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming in. Robin, what do you think of the fact that fast food sales are on the rise?
I think you can look at that a couple of ways. I mean, there's lots of talk about the downturn in the economy and people trying to spend less money, but it's also convenience. People are trying to get quick meals, they're on the go, they're in a hurry. So I think there's a couple of ways to look at it, but there's also, I think you have to look and see that if there's other alternatives out there to the McDonald's and the KFCs of the world. And
I suppose they're everywhere. They're ubiquitous. So you can always find a McDonald's or a KFC on any corner.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that's part of why that you see things like that upturn is they're all over the place. They're really quick. I mean, there's one right around the corner.
Yeah. Mark, how long have you been a person who goes looking for cheap dining options?
All my life.
Really? You're not new to this?
I'm not new to this. No. Scottish, and I don't mean to cast aspersions upon the Scots, but we are cheap.
It was burned into you by your folks?
Yes.
So you remember as a little kid?
Age.
You remember as a little kid always looking for cheap options?
It's 1 cent gumball or break the glass and take the gumball. So that's not that I'm promoting.
So are you then more inclined to go to those fast food chains generally?
Well, I was.
Necessarily?
Yes, I was before we wrote the book, and then after writing the book, I've changed.
You found
habits.
A new religion.
Oh yeah.
So not the fast food chains, but cheap food, but cheap, better, healthier food.
Yes,
good food.
And you can find that easily.
Robin, what's your definition of what we're calling cheap food?
I think it's more, I don't know, cheap is kind of a rough word because it sort of makes you imply that it's, maybe greasy, low quality, that sort of thing. And really what we're talking about is good, inexpensive, healthy food that is an alternative to, getting a Big Mac deal for $7. You can go out and you can get, some Vietnamese food for $7 that's equally as good and equally as quick.
Now, you're not Scottish, I don't think.
Actually, I am.
You are? Okay. So was it ingrained in you? Was it burned in you as well from a young age that you needed to look for the cheaper option?
Not necessarily, but I think I've always been very concerned about food and wanting to make sure that I was really enjoying the food that I was eating. And as a student, I never had a lot of money, always worried about trying to figure out where my next meal was going to come from, whether it's craft dinner or, a sandwich from the local deli. And it's really about choosing food that tastes good for me. And so this book was about finding food that tasted good, that was easy to access.
And you found it.
I did. We found a lot of it.
Plenty of it. Well, how easy is it to find cheap food in the city?
There is cheap food everywhere in this city. I think we have hundreds of restaurants in this book. It's over 300. I can't remember the exact number. And there's more. Every couple of days we hear about a new restaurant. And I think for cheap eats especially, we sort of have definitions. You have to be able to get breakfast for under $5 or lunch for under 10 and dinner for under 15, and that's with a meal and a drink. And so in sourcing the book, that was our main criteria, is you had to be able to go and sit somewhere and get it for an affordable amount of money.
Mark, you've been nodding your head enthusiastically throughout Robin's answer. You agree? You concur?
I concur. And Robin and I talked about this outside. I think you need to change, excuse me, I think you need to change your habits, even your lifestyle habits. Sure, it's easier to go through the drive-through and get something, but really, you don't have enough time to actually go and sit down somewhere. And so I think you need to change your philosophy in how you approach your life.
So you're talking about slowing down.
Slow down a little bit, and you can. And I broke it into three: where, when, how. Find an inexpensive restaurant. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. The example for where is sort of buffets. Buffet is always a good way to get good, inexpensive food at sort of bulk food. Vegetarian restaurants in town have pay by weight, so you only pay for what you bought. So you control what you've spent, and you can control the ingredients in your food
and your portion size.
And your portion size, and it's all organic. It's all local, as much as possible, locally bought food. So the vegetarian buffet. Or any sort of Indian buffet or Chinese buffet, that sort of thing. That's a good way to get a good meal, and I don't want to use the word cheap, so inexpensively.
Robin, you have some examples of some restaurants that you go to?
I have a cheap eats book full of Post-it notes. I live and work downtown, so as an example for me, on my way home from the office, I'll often stop by Fettuccini's on Elgin Street because you can sit at a bar at their window and watch people go by on the street, or you can pick up pasta and pasta sauce for under $10 for two people. And it's freshly made, it's all homemade, and it's an independent place that you can support, which also helps to contribute to the economy, right? You're not supporting big business, you're supporting small businesses that really need our help.
Okay, so that's your first one. What about your second one?
One of my favorites, mostly in the summer, because you can bike there and you can sit outside at the picnic tables across the street, would be D'Arienzo's Sandwich Shop, which is an Ottawa favorite. We didn't include it in the first version of Cheap Eats, and there was a mad outcry. People were desperate for D'Arienzo's to be part of this book. And you can go and get an Italian sandwich on, homemade crusty bread with fresh cold cuts and cheeses, and there's always a smile for you behind the counter.
And you need to take your time eating that sandwich. You really just need to savor it.
Stop and enjoy it for 5 or 10 minutes, even if you're sitting outside in the warm summer sun, and watch the kids playing at the park and really savor it.
And Robin, your third one?
My third would have to be Nu Mi Fung, which is...
You had a tough time choosing it.
I know. I tried to come up with a list yesterday, and it was about 10 or 15 long, so I really struggled to narrow it down. But Nu Mi Fung is another local downtown favorite. You can go, you can get a huge bowl of soup or Vietnamese noodles for under $8.
Amazing.
I think that's a real bargain, and when you're looking to save money, those are places that you can save money while still enjoying what you're eating.
Mark, your favorites. Do you have a couple of favorites that you can mention to us?
I do. There's and again, broken into that concept of where, when, how. Maybe change your habits in terms of when you go out. You don't necessarily have to go out on a Friday and a Saturday. Go out on a Sunday or a Monday. Restaurants will have special nights to entice you in on their slow nights. The Urban Well, as an example, in Sandy Hill, Alex and his staff are great, and the Sunday night menu is a full dinner-sized plate of whatever's on the menu: pasta, pizza, burger, everything under $9. So it's a full meal under $9, but it's on a Sunday and not a Friday. So change you change your mindset a little, and you can find those places.
And it's not as crowded either.
And it's not as crowded.
Yeah. Better service.
We'll be after this because
everyone's going to go.
Your listeners are now going to race over, but.
Your second one?
The second one is the Green Door on Main Street. It's a great, again, the buffet-style vegetarian restaurant. You go, you pay by weight, so you control what you buy. They have organic beer and organic wine, and they'll make you fresh carrot juice if you ask. And that's a great experience. It's a big cafe style, so you open space so you can sit in it's Main Street, so it's Ottawa East. It's a nice view. So that's a great idea. And then the third one is sort of in the concept of how you can make your own food. There's in the Merivale Mall. There's a place, and it's Dinner by Design. And so you go in and you make your own meals. They've got everything set up for you. They clean up after you. You don't do anything. You just go in, you make your meals, you put them in containers, you take them home and you freeze them, and then you have them for the week. You can make it a social event. You can bring a group of people and make it together, and it's all under $20. And you control the ingredients and the quantity, and it's a healthy choice.
You both made the point. There's no excuse. We have cheap food in the city. We need to go out and get it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, you're right. Absolutely.
And there's tons of cheap food.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for joining us. I'll report back to you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, this was great.
Robin Payton is a contributor to Cheap Eats Ottawa. Mark McLaughlin is the author of Find Ottawa.